that let me move myself out the way right here so you guys get to see it without me being there. 2 seconds. You will get to see the circle in its entirety without the um, why did they do there we go. The circle in its entirety, right? Now, see what's inside of the circle can be studied, right? So the black and white nature is what we have learned to discover as the passive and aggressive nature of your reality. So we have words like negative attributed to the black side and words like positive attributed to the white side, right? Now, we are created of this light and darkness tug of war, or whatever you want to call it. On my previous arguments, on my previous YouTubes, I refer to it as opposites attract but why. I refer to it as a divine argument, and you are proof that everything in that argument said yes. Okay, so in your when you were being created from this intelligent matter, right, it came from the darkness. The darkness is the female. The female is intelligent because it gave birth to the life, right, to the light. I'm sorry. So when you were composed of this light and darkness, this matter, this intelligent matter that went into you, right? There's seven primary chakras, and then these primary chakras will send cues throughout your body, right? Which is like a nation, which will send cues throughout your body, which will put the body in motion depending on how you listen to these chakras, these cues, or these sounds, these vibrations, and so forth. As you grow older throughout the reality, you learn to communicate with words, and then those words will how you would interpret these cues. The people that came before you has made a language and created in a way that you will be at odds with yourself. So if you take a look, you will see that the female side of the yin yang expression is negative, right? And the male side is positive. So if you were female and you were having a conversation with yourself, and you know you already have part of yourself described as the reality as negative, and what negative, and then people say, oh, you're talking negative. Don't be negative. So negative is something like an undesirable thing. But if you are made up of this, then how would that conversation go with yourself? So we, as the melanated people or non-white people in the diaspora, have also have a big identity under this yin yang symbol, which is the black. Now, black is supposed to have all these negative or ugly or um, unflattering terminology towards it. But if you're having a dialogue with yourself and you're already in a low freak, already in a low definition stance on how you are composed, then I could imagine what type of internal dialogue you may be having with yourself. So I would like to add some more words to this black and white yin yang symbol right here. And I would also add chaos and order, seen and unseen, hard, soft, hot, cold, um, system, and individuality, right? Um, so the controllers of this reality have understood the essence of this reality through this symbol, and the ancients who were, because when all right, it's another thing I realized too, watching Jay-Z talk to Kevin Hart on Kevin Hart has a little series or whatever, and he's interviewing Hove, and he asked him, Hove said, you know, things don't happen to you, they happen for you, right? And that is a mindset that is free of a label that puts you in a mindset of servitude or second or under attack or being tricked or being misled, right? So when you identify as black or slave or any of these things, gangster, blood, crip, whatever you identify as, you automatically put yourself in a cube of thinking and a reality that comes with whatever you think that is. So um another thing that you need to understand too, that words build words. World, I'm sorry, words build words. I'm saying it wrong again. Words build worlds. There it is. All right. And there's only one difference in the word between word and world is L. And L is considered a god of creation because it's a right angle. And that right angle is how you create the L. Right. So you hear words like the Elohim. So they would tell you that the Lo is singular, but just like the yin yang is not yin and yang is one word, yin yang, it describes both at one time. The westernizing of it all, well, not Western, I guess it's Eastern way of looking at it. We separate the yin and the yang and make it look like it's two different things. But as you can see, the symbol in the middle is holding true to it being one. So if you were to call it, it would be yin yang, describing it simultaneously because you can't have one without the other. It's like having a future with no past, or a past with no future, or present with neither other. So some of these words you need to have understood that once you say the word, you're implying everything that comes with it. You understand? So the word shapes worlds, and then that world that you understand from these words becomes your personality, and your personality is your personal reality. All right. So the matrix makers of this reality has who have clearly has a head start on things. They were aware that by a certain age your body would start to communicate with you, and you would now hear these voices or these cues coming from these energetic centers. Your stomach might say, I'm hungry. Your heart might say, I'm scared. Brain might say, you need money. So these are different things, different cues that might come into your mind under the language in which you speak. And then the language in which you speak will determine how you would ask for something in that reality, especially when you're dealing with yourself. All right. Now, this illustration right here is the way that the energy flows, right? The yin yang is also a symbol of the Taurus field. Now, if you look at that center illustration with the man and the what looks like a graph, a circular graph behind him, the one that's in the middle, you'll see that's the Taurus field. And then go to the top left corner, you will see the magnetic proof of this toric field, how it looks under a magnet, right? So on the top, you would assume that's the North Pole, and in the bottom, you assume that's the South Pole. And then the energy flowing from that magnet, which saying that opposites attract, and all these different stuff with particle behavior. And the particle is right next to it in that blue top middle. You will see that that's the man in the middle that's actually from above, right? And this is what it looks like from above, right? The energetic frequency. You can see the red hot middle with all the chakras lined up in the center, making that the point. And then the circle around, right? This is probably his emotional field, temperature, and range of motion of what he can do from standing on one spot. And then they go to the cellular construction, and you will see, and it has a similar construction like as above. In the middle, you have the nucleus, where it's like charged with information, and then the outside is like a protective layer, so to speak. So then you got the tree of life, or a tree with the Taurus field also going through it, making it look like a pair of shades in the middle right there, right? But they're showing you the roots as above, so below. That's another attribute of the symbol, as within, so without. Then the man in the middle showing you how it all relates to you. The apple, right? The apple, which also is symbolic to that Taurus field, which is why it's in the creation story. And here's a little fun fact. In the creation story, they never really said she bit of an apple. In most texts, it says fruit. And other translations, we put apple or cherry in the name of the fruit, so that way the man would get the Adam's apple. That would be part of the curse. The fruit got stuck in his neck, and that's how you get the Adam's apple. And then the woman, it will be in her sexual things, say popping a cherry for the virginity of a woman. All right. Now, this is how it looks when it is an energy or a storm or hurricane, how it has that spiral. The spiral is another key component, because when you look at the word spiral, you would see SPR, right? Almost like spirit, right? spiral, the swirl, right? The yin and yang. That this is how the torus field looks and behave on in a certain manner. Then outside, the bottom middle is the Earth, allegedly, with the torus field running the electromagnetics, all the different spheres and energies that's concentrating, making the Earth what it is. Then stepping out of the Earth, you would get the galaxy. Now, this one right here that's depicting the galaxy, I would take that as more of how the Earth is set up. And in that galactic plane in the middle will be actually the plane of where we live at. That pole right here in the middle would be our North Pole, which would be pointing to Polaris. Um, so back to the man in the middle. This Taurus field around the man will become his reflexes. It will become his backdrop to his reality. It will become all his points of reference. Um, in your reality, your reflexes, right? The way you understand and relate to words, the way you understand and relate to everything around you in your area, is vital that you have a certain type of way of communicating with yourself so that when you go into manifesting, um, you will have a good connection to that what it is you manifest and have a clear mind. Right, you see in this graph here, you also see that webbing again, right, which is in a circular motion in the pie shape, like I was describing earlier. That becomes the wheel of life, and the point is you. And outside, coming from that point, looks like spokes on the wheel. And this is how we get our lettering, this is how we get our math, this is how we get our symbols for communication. And that spoke is what we are speaking, spoke in the wheel. It's hitting right before you. The language is coded, but remember, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. You are a God, you are a supreme being having a supreme having a human experience in the reality. So the people that came before you were leaving you clues. No one's here to trick you. It's all clues, and you can see this energetic field happening around the human. You see the chakras in the middle, and so forth. Now, you can also see him standing on a star. I think that's like a 6-point star, and the six represents sex, right? Represents power, represents a lot of stuff, right? So if you want to be technical, you go 1, 2, 3. 1 being father, 2 being mother, 3 being the seed of that union, right? So everybody is a 3, and then when they come together with another person, you make the 6. But you are a product of a 6, making you a 6 because you have divine feminine and divine masculine making you, and that is the hex. That is the hex that you're under, and then this is the hex is in this circle because those words becomes a spell, and then you're under that hex. So when you label yourself these names, like I've been trying to explain to you for all these for all the time I've been on the YouTube, with identifying as black and knowing what that means in reality, identifying as nigger, knowing what that means in reality, identifying as bitch, knowing what that means in the reality. The way that you're indicting your mind to operate and function out of that reality is very hard for you to manifest a reality that you would find beneficial to yourself. These One more thing too. These lines right here is how we chart and label. Mind you, these lines are reference. These are reference points. These are points of understanding. These are words. These are family members. These are everything that makes your reality real. The webbing of your mind, right? Let me see here. The webbing of your mind mixes your reflexes, the stuff that you know, right? This is also how we would start to see our reality so that we can understand it. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about cannot be described. It cannot fit into anything. And the science has been created and the means to kill God, if you will, right? So there's none of this stuff is separate. This is why the other illustration had all those different components to show you that all this stuff goes together. Before I get into that, this definition is going to go back to this one first to show you how all this stuff, even though they're all different things, a magnet with magnetic dust, what looks like an energy reading of some type, cellular structure, the tree, the man, the apple, the storm, the earth, and the galaxy. These things seem to be unrelated, but yet all has a common line in between it. That common line is what we refer to as the string theory. So this illustration of the atom, which we call the yin yang, if we was to stop moving it and hold that line in the middle, that line in the middle is this is in every piece of matter and goes on around us, right? Um, so also another word I would add to the black and white. Black will be soul and white will be spirit. All right. And you know that is true because anytime you hear the word soul and you put it with people, you tend to see men and non-white people there because the soul tends to be moving in a natural rhythm that correlates with the earth, and that rhythm and frequency makes us seem to have a different 1 2 1 2 than them. We on a different frequency, right? So frequency, I could probably break that down in another video, but as you can see here, you got the chakras in the man. This is once again the range of motion. This is supposed to be a healthy man, fully extended and capable of doing anything that he aligns himself with. And the chakras, see how the energy, the red and blue energy, one is electric and one is dialectic. It's the same torus field energy, but is dealing with it on a magnetic and electric understanding. This would be Republican and Democrat. This is how things move. This would be positively charged blood and negatively charged blood, or blood with oxygen and blood without. This is how the heart pumps. If you look back at the black and white symbol, you will see that it could possibly be a simple diagram of the heart, right? Describing the four chambers, because on top of this white one would be the plug for that black, and on top of that black one would be the plug for that white, which making it a four, right? And making a four chamber, so they could pump and at the same time, so the body would never ever be stagnant. So it's almost like a quantum computer that is quantum entanglement. That was another word made famous by the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett thing. See, I think the elite has a funny way of updating the reality. When we watched The Matrix, they were talking to us on computer jargon, which was letting us understand computers and humans, because we are supreme. We are anything that because we are the supreme. Anything that's in creation can be likened to you because you made it. It came from you. It came from the human. And because we are the highest form of intelligence, everything else just mirrors this intelligence. So there's a path in which you can study yourself and you can figure out the technology that exists outside of you. Right now, here's the darkness, or the light, and the evening and morning, and the light orbs that would correspond to the as above, so below part of the yin yang. Um, and then you can see the reason why I have used this was so that you can see that these Mayan symbols in the background. Some of these usually have the yin yang in the middle of um, that illustration there, giving issue to the first dilemma of light and dark, which is where your capabilities and movement is allowed, because we are humans. We see from the light and we rest in the dark, but then in the darkness we can dream, and then in the dream you have light also. So this is how we're giving proof that the darkness gives birth to the light, right? um, and if you want to be frank, the darkness is the creative force. Darkness is the God. You the melanated one who is wrapped in what they will call darkness and trying to downplay it because they are killers of God. And these we will use their science to try to deny the presence of God. The Western symbolism of this yin yang was also dealing with air, right? See, when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in God because I can't see it," but then we say, "What about air? You can't see air, but yet it sustains the body." So when the Western, when I think the let's say the Asian, the Taoism was studying this, they have the word chi, and the chi is the invisible force that sustains you through the air, because the body can be sustained through air and nutrients from like water and food, right? And that all those things bring in a chi, right? And that is hidden in our word today under the word inner chi, which is energy, inner chi, right? So this life force that sustains the vehicle. Um, And oh, I thought I had that picture up earlier. I'm sorry, with the chakras, the healthy male, healthy man, or female human with full range of motion. This is capability. This is the power of you, the capable. But if you have any of these things going for you, you can make a reality in this world, in this reality, in this realm of creation. The This is a symbol of the Kundalini energy, which travels like electricity. The electricity is the moving factor, which is like the spirit, which is what we would call a demon or possession. When they try to mysticize some of these words. And you see the man meditating to center the energy through this illustration. Then you have the yin and yang expressed through the nighttime and daytime illustration. I think that's supposed to be like a star or atom, or how all atoms or something like that is composed of that light structure. And those lines in between is how we can create a matrix or a world or a wheel from that. Then the Mayan timeline, which usually has the yin yang in the center to illustrate something. So mind you, the this some. So let me see if I can find a map that I was trying to show you that had the. Remember, I was saying that this picture in the bottom right corner of the galaxy is probably a good rendering of what our Earth plane looks like. And then that dome right there would be the firmament, which would be the torus field, which is separating you from the waters above and the waters below, right? So that's the as above terminology that's wedged inside of the yin yang, right? Now, this would be what another map of that would look like, right? You would see the firmament and see the waters above the firmament, and you can see the earth and so forth, the land that we live on, and the water and the rains and so forth. Now, mind you, there's a lot of correlations going on where you're looking for the clues. When you're looking for the clues in the equation in your reality, you're going to find synchronicities. There's another thing that these lines represent. These lines represent deja vu, coincidence, synchronicity, synchronized events, a certain line of events or chain of events, right? And they say X marks the spot because that's where perfection is. Those are the ley lines of perfection. This grid is all over the place. It's energetic proof of a reality that is there. And acupuncture for your body, and there's ley lines in which they build buildings on, following these energetic principles and put in buildings to manifest the energy from which they understand from under the knowledge they are functioning from. So a reason why I put this in here was to also go with that flat earth thing, right? Flat earth understanding. This is you're going to see how it all ties in if I do a good job. So mind you, the darkness represents the soul, right? Now, that picture there. Now, the soul. the darkness. You also hear something about space. They call it the black hole. Now, if you know anything about the black hole is supposed to bend light. Now, you are everything. You are the supreme. So everything in the reality can be compared and likened to you because you are it. Nothing matters if you are not here to interpret that. So everything in the reality, either you are or have pieces of it inside of you in order for it to be biological and organic. All right. So when you see that the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that black pit is a black hole that bends light and then reprojects it into the back of your brain so you can now receive the reality via the cues of the reality, right? Recently, I also heard someone says that our eyes don't receive light. Our eyes send out rays that build our reality and then come back to us. And I was like, wow. And what I'm trying to say to you by that rationale is by the words in which you understand shapes the perception of your reality. And these words affect your reality. So they say the windows of the soul, the eyes are the windows to your soul. That soul is that blackness. You have a soul purpose. The soul resides in the heart. This is why the yin yang is mirroring the heart. Remember, I told you with the four chambers and so forth, right? And because it has one purpose, but then that one purpose is to give life and animation to the body, and then that animation is called the spirit, and that's why people would say in the spirit of things, and in the soul purpose, right? Now, if you look at how the eye is constructed, right, and then you look at how they constructed, oh wait, you look at how the eye is constructed, right, and then you see the way they constructed the flat Earth, you see, there seem to be a correlation with the way the eye is constructed and the flat earth. And then, not to mention the windows to your soul, and then the yin yang saying that the soul is the blackness and the spirit is the white part, the darkness, right? So you can see that there is a double reality being ran simultaneously with us. The words in which we relate to that will build our world and our reality and the one that we manifest, right? So, and view and okay, the the brain also is set up in this yin yang thing, right? You have the left brain, right brain, and they would predominantly have attributes that would coincide with the left brain, right brain. So you have you have a feminine side and a masculine side, and the reality now is trying to put the genders, make a gender war and create it like the men is better than the women and the women can do it without the men and so forth. But that will play out as the end result in your reality to a disharmony in the household. But it has its first take place in the mind. Remember, so your masculine mind frame and your feminine mind frame, if they are at war internally, then it's only right that you will have an external war between the male and female. So when one is to center themselves, he or she is not at odds with the energetic nature that makes him up. You cannot be at odds with your passive side or your negative side. You have to be at peace with the energies that make you up. When you are at odds, you leave yourself open to the system to manipulate you. This is also on my last recording. I was talking about schizophrenic. And as I did some research on it, I realized I should just leave that topic alone because I don't want to sound like a medical profession or anything like that, a professional on the topic, right? But what I would say on it is that from the small amount of people that I talk to and when they had a schizophrenic episode, they say they were watching TV and listening to the radio, and under that, they was able to hear voices that made them do certain things, and these voices um, can be fed via your diet. Um, so just but dealing with not back to the mind part of it all, but having a discord with yourself or a disharmony with yourself can make you susceptible to other lower frequency thoughts. Right? The flat Earth. People believe there's an illustration with the yin yang being at the center of the earth, right? And that because the light and dark will be happening so fast from that point where all time is being created. That spinning rapidly would look like the vortex, or oh, did I have it? I thought I did. Yeah, it would look like something like the one in that galaxy pole. That should be the North Pole, and this it'll be flipping off and on from the light source, going off and on, and uh, we know this is true because I'm gonna share my right here and see if this works. Entire Microsoft. Let me see if this works. And listen to what he says about the earth. Now, he is a globalist. He thinks the earth, he's going to tell you that the globe is round. And they can only bottle up the lie without putting in more pieces of the lie by revealing what they don't understand he's revealing. So as he's talk, I'll let you know what I'm talking about here. Hold on. This is
not that anybody asked, but lines of longitude on Earth. Every 15 degrees is approximately one time zone. They get adjusted to go around national borders and state boundaries, that sort of thing. But lines of longitude demark time. Yet all lines of longitude meet at the pole. So what time is it at the pole? Not that anybody asked, but lines of longitude.
Now, hopefully that transition went through and we heard what he was saying about lines of longitude and what time is it at the pole and so forth. I thought I had a picture of the Earth um, with timelines so you can get an understanding of what he was saying about the longitude and latitude. But if you look at the Earth, you will see all the lines meet at the pole, right? And those poles are how we supposed to exit the earth. And this is why they say all roads lead home. See, those roads, these lines will be roads, that grid leading to the center of the energy. And there's so much more symbols that come out of that. If you can see carefully, you can see like horns by this guy's head. And this is how we would get the sign for Aries and Taurus. And Taurus, as a matter of fact, Taurus field, Taurus the bull, because of the horns on the top part of the Taurus field there. There's a whole lot more symbology that's paired with the word. Um, I think I did pretty good on that so far. But so the chi was proof of them. This is how they put the air in the yin yang, and even though it's invisible and it has no dark side, so to speak, it has to have a dark side, and it has to have a life and death component. So the air has something in the air that could sustain the body. And Western scientists, it probably took them X amount of years before we get to that terminology of oxygen, right? But once again, this is them trying to kill God, and the spiritual component can never be fit into a textbook or a form of biology, chemistry, or anything like that. It's all one. It's all one. But when we pull it apart to try to understand it and study it, that is where the flaw of man comes into. That white part is also the ego, right? Because the ego is in the light and it's lying because it's in the light. The truth is in the darkness, right? Um, I was watching something the other day, and he was like, "Oh, the reason why black people get it so bad is because that we're supposed to be righteous." Excuse me. We're supposed to be righteous, and under that black and white understanding, um, you will see that we are humans. We live we see better at daytime and we sleep at night. We can't see at night. So the daytime will become our movement, and then the nighttime will become our restriction. The restriction will become the boundaries. The boundaries will become the rules. The rules will become the righteousness. Right. So once you understand that you're cloaked in that righteousness that they call melanin, that they call non-white, all right, you are more prone to live a righteous life because of this. This is just what it is. So, um, uh, the essence that's hidden in these words and terminologies that are designed for you to have a poor understanding so that you can have a poor manifestation from a poor conversation with yourself. The another thing here about the yin yang is also the binary sequence here, right? Now you see that that's the, the zero could be the black and the one could be the light, right? And you see the Taurus field would be, oh man, I thought I had it, but if you understand real quick without words, without pictures, I mean, you can see that this is the top view of it, right? And then if you were to, this would be the circle, the zero, but the zero represents one because the zero becomes the framework, the tubing of the one. And once you look at it from a sideways point of view, you would see the one in the middle, like the North Pole, South Pole, that line there, right? So, um, so I hope that with that said, I was able to touch on the flat earth check. I was able to talk about the heart, right? The soul, the heart, where the spirit, where the soul lies. The soul, remember now, here's more evidence, here's more words on the soul, right? Soul, solo, solar. The Spanish sun means soul, and solo is the one. You only have one sun, has one primary functionality, but in that one primary functionality, it sets the spirit in motion to give the earth life. It sets everything in motion with the sun doing that one functionality, and that's the soul, right? So another thing too about this, these words, this webbing, all right, before I forget, that fabric, that cosmic fabric that's around you, your energetic frequency that's around you, your auric field that's around you. Um, what was I saying just now? Shit, I seem like I forgot. I wasn't trying to forget. I was talking about the way you relate to words, understanding. Damn it. Oh man, it slipped my mind. Um, Damn, give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to see if I can recollect. Um, but anyway, hopefully, let me see if I can look at another picture. Hopefully, it'll pop into mind. Heart, flat Earth, binary, time. Um, I'm sorry, I don't want to waste too much more of the time. By screen share has no sound. He knows that you were sharing your screen without audio track sharing. Audio supported. Wow. Oh man. Maybe you guys didn't see the didn't hear Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about those lines. Um, it says screen share had no sound. Um, So it's my bad. I'm figuring it out as I go along. Um, yeah. What's going on here? Let's get this out of the way. Yeah. So, man, I'm sorry about the negative space. Hopefully this was informative. Hopefully it was a lot more than three things that you didn't know about the yin yang. I try to make everything connect to one another as far as the symbol itself being an illustration, trying to describe way more than it is. See, that symbol is telling a great deal of stories. I try to break down the circle, right? Because whatever in the circle could be understood. Inside of that circle is a wavy line. That wavy line symbolizes movement. That movement can be symbolized to your life, right? You have a point of origin, then you learn the world, then you start to manipulate as you come into your power, and then you have a certain brain of power before you leave and get weaker and die. So this is the yin yang is saying life and death and everything in the middle in that phrasing of those two words or whatever. Um, this is also frequency, the way that frequency moves, and the frequency will have a high and low component of it all. Um, so, what else? What else? What else? What else? Connecting it to the soul to the sun and the soul and the heart and your eyes, right? Going to them when it went to the eye, it had to look like the flat earth, showing you that how it all is interconnected. Um, then I try to pull up that Neil deGrasse Tyson talking. It was on TikTok, and he was talking about the longitude latitude lines and how they make time zones. And when he was when he said makes time zones, what am I doing here? And he said when it gets to the top, what time is it at the poles? So, in certain illustrations, you can find the map with the yin yang in the center, representing the speed of which the light and day is happening in that area. Where this is where all time starts. So people believe that Hitler has made a trip to the Antarctic and he has found the fountain of youth, is because once you get near that area where time you will kind of like suspend, speed up, or slow it down, even suspend time as a result. So, interesting theories and concepts that come with the yin yang. So, hopefully that was informative and enlightening and so forth. Uh, with that said, it's your friend and humble host, and a full Merc, wishing you a happy existence on your journey called life. And I hope everyone is doing well and prosperous, and whatever you trying to manifest, I hope it's coming in with clarity and precision, and hope that we can create a valuable alliance and make a hell of a resistance towards the impending nature of the reality. With that said, I'm signing out. Wishing y'all peace, love, and wholeness. One in the full Merc.